Hi aspirants, welcome back to Thorough Newspaper Analysis, which is again brought to you by LawSikho. We hope that you're all doing fine and dwelling better and better into your preparation for your exam. So on the very same journey, we are here with you to bring to you every day a very thorough analysis of the newspaper and the crisp news that is important for your exam. Now let's again see that what articles we will be discussing today from the Indian Express and the Hindu. So the first article is an editorial from the Hindu, which is titled as None Gains. So this actually will be talking about the recent withdrawal or the recent declaration that US President Donald Trump has made to withdraw the United States of America from the World Health Organization. And we'll be actually studying the pros and cons of this particular decision. Then in the second article, we will be talking about the article called as Owning Up to Criminalization in Politics. So this actually is a very big concern and very big problem when we talk about the Indian politics, and we'll be talking about it in detail. And third and finally, we have the News in Flash column, wherein we will be discussing very short and crisp news articles that are important specifically from the prelims exam point of view. But today we have something really special for you. Before we begin with this discussion, today we would really be happy and we want to introduce ourselves that who actually we are. So once again, we welcome you to LawSikho. All the aspirants, all the viewers of this series are welcome to our portal. So here, on behalf of LawSikho, we would like to introduce you to various programs, various diploma courses, various test prep courses that we offer. And it's just not this thorough newspaper analysis that we are excelling into, but various other courses. For that, we have a small glimpse of the courses that we have been offering. Like we have these diploma courses that deal about contract drafting, negotiation, and dispute resolution. We also have diploma courses in cyber law, fintech regulations, and technology contracts. Diploma in M&A, institutional finance and investment laws, and the list goes on. We are also excelling into various courses that deal with the preparation for judiciary exam, the judicial services for various states. Then we also have various courses running in the line of preparation for CLAT exam. Then we have courses that we are excelling very well into bar exam, all India bar exam, and various other courses. Today, we are glad to announce that we are also attaching the link of our official website in the description box. Do check it out. It is going to be worth, and then all the aspirants are going to really realize that what actually LawSikho has for them. And with this, amongst all our initiatives, we have thorough newspaper analysis, and let's just begin with it. Now, for a small change now, instead of adding the questions, the MCQ and the descriptive question at the end of the discussion, now we'll be trying to add them in the very beginning of our discussion. Now, what could be the purpose of this? Obviously, this will not only enhance your listening skills, but also will add to the alertness of your listening skills. So here, we'll be discussing two questions, and as soon as you pop out the answers for these, you can write them down in the comment section. And let's see that who is able to find the correct answer quickly. So the MCQ kind of question for today, which is from the discussion to follow, is: in which year was the World Health Organization formed? First, 1946, second, 1947, third, 1948, or fourth, 1949. Added to this, if any of the aspirants is able to answer this question, we would also encourage if you can write down the place where headquarters of World Health Organization is situated in the comment section. Now, this is the descriptive question for today. Crime-free politics is the key to real democracy in India. Critically examine the statement in the light of recent judgments of the Supreme Court. Now, with this, without any further ado, let's begin with today's thorough newspaper analysis. Now, first, here we will be talking about the weakened position that the World Health Organization will be facing now once United States of America, or in the name of its president, Mr. Donald Trump, has announced its withdrawal from it. Now, we had also given it a short and crisp discussion yesterday, but since we had a very exhaustive article related to this today, we'll be discussing this in further detail. So why do we need to know that? Why is this actually in news? So first of all, recently, as we have already discussed, President Donald Trump has notified the United Nations of its intentions to withdraw from WHO. Now, one thing should be noted here is that in order to withdraw itself from the WHO, a notification has been made to United Nations, which clearly indicates that WHO is one body that works under the United Nations. So this should be kept in mind. This also can be a question from prelims point of view, wherein it can be asked whether WHO is an independent body, or is it under, or does it work under some other international body? So yes, WHO works under the United Nations. So now we know that Trump has announced that it will be withdrawing United States of America from WHO, and the decision will come effective after Congress approves. So this actually has been just one of the announcements that has been made by Donald Trump, though it has not been concrete in nature. But yes, if it is given in assent by the Congress, and if there is no significant objection to this done, though there are some objections taken up by various health concerned scientists and doctors for that matter, and also Joe Biden, who is the adversary, or to say on the contrary of the Trump for the presidential elections. So if no substantial objection is taken, then within a year, this entire decision will become concrete in nature, and the United States will finally will be able to withdraw from WHO. But now, what needs to be pondered upon is that why actually is this decision being taken? Why Trump is so adamant about withdrawing itself as in withdrawing the United States of America from WHO? So the first point can be said as that he believes that WHO is being China-centric. Now, all of us know that the terms between USA and China have not been very good since about 1.5 years now. So the trade war has actually led to various other kinds of global level conflicts between the two superpowers. But now, after the spread, or to say after the popping out of the COVID-19 pandemic, USA has been primarily targeting and blaming China. So because China, definitely it was in Wuhan, one of the cities of China, where the very first case of COVID-19 was first reported. So, and USA is one of those countries that has been worst hit by the impact of COVID-19. So for that matter, Trump primarily has been blaming China all this time. And now, it is saying that WHO has been favoring China a lot. Now, how it has been favoring China, we'll just see. That he says that WHO's gross mismanagement of crisis, and it actually was not active enough to make this whole world aware and to let them know within time about this pandemic. And due to their delay, this is the reason. Their delay is the reason for such grave consequences that countries have to face, and specifically USA as well. Then, again, as we've already said, that it didn't notify the pandemic early. And also Trump has to argue, he argues that it has been favoring China as to it is not blaming China the way Trump is. But another thing, if we try to analyze critically over here, by the end of this year, America is going to have its next presidential elections. And definitely America has been facing large adversities due to the pandemic. So this maybe could be a chance that Trump is trying to, just shift the entire blame of his mismanagement on the World Health Organization. So this also can be one of the aspects that should be pondered upon. Now, next, let's understand that if this happens, so if this withdrawal goes to finality, and if United States of America is finally able to bring itself out from the WHO, what impact will it have on the entire functioning, the funding, or to say the data collection procedures, or all the things that are associated with WHO? So first, it will have a severe loss of technical expertise. So actually what happens is that the data collection regarding the health systems, or regarding the availability of vaccines, medicines, or about the diseases that are prevalent, or anything for that matter. So the expertise is not actually sent by WHO itself. Rather, it depends on the various member countries to submit their own, their own data, their own reports for that matter. In that line, USA has been one of the biggest aids in submitting or giving this technical expertise. So once, if USA withdraws itself from the WHO, then it shall fall, WHO shall fall short of this technical expertise. And then the biggest reason to be concerned about is about the funding. So since we know that America is the largest, it is the largest economy of the world, and here also America is the largest funder of World Health Organization. So we know that no any significant project can be taken up without sufficient funds being in hand. And similarly, there is a very possible chance that WHO would fall very short of funds, since approximately 400 to 450 million dollars of funding is made every year by America to the World Health Organization. Now we can simply imagine, if this huge an amount is withdrawn or is not given now anymore to WHO, how and in what way will its functionings be carried on? Then what will be the effect on US? So one thing that needs to be understood is that this is not a unilateral decision. So it is not something like that it will impact only and only the WHO or only the world community for that matter, and America can to say it can walk very freely, and it will walk unaffectedly. So that is not the case. So America will also have to face some kind of adversities. So here one example is that it will lose the access to health intelligence. Now, just right in the example of COVID-19, it was WHO that declared it as a pandemic, and it was done even quite before. So approximately in the time of January, it was declared a pandemic by WHO. So WHO does not only have the task to collect the data from its member states, but also has the task to formulate good steps that can be taken to cure such a pandemic or any kind of disease for that matter. Then it also has the job to make nations aware about such upcoming diseases or anything in this line. So if, of course, America will not be a member of WHO, so definitely it will lose out on this very important health intelligence, or the news or the reports, or to say the information regarding the health or the diseases. Also, another thing that America would lose out to would be that at various international levels, scientists from all over the world come and try to develop vaccines, medicines to cure a particular disease. Like, for example, even in the case of COVID-19, it is not like that the scientists from a particular country are only working to develop the vaccine. They actually come from many of the member states and try to work collaboratively. Now, if such a vaccine is developed, and if not the vaccine, but if any technique is also developed to, for example, to deal with COVID-19 or any other disease for that matter, so America would lose out on that particular technology, that particular method of that medicine or vaccine as well. And then at last, it would lose a seat at the table determining the virus strain used for developing influenza vaccine. So this was exactly the same point as we just discussed, that it would lose out on its voice, on its opinion giving capability, and no more it will be having any word in the World Health Organization. So with this, we have already understood that what role do countries play in such international bodies, and also we understand that how much is it important for international bodies to maintain a balance amongst all its member states, because it should not happen that they rely so much on a particular member state, that if that member state, if in any situation it plans to withdraw, so the entire entity of that international body, or the entire identity of that particular international body, comes to a question mark. So that should not really happen. Now with this, we'll be moving towards the most important article that we have for the day, which talks about criminalization in politics. So this should be known that this problem of having criminals in a political system, and ultimately criminalization of a political system, is not something that we are seeing now or just within a decade or so. This problem has been perhaps since the beginning of the Indian democracy, but yes, this is also a truth that it has been very, very rampant in the last 1 or 2 decades. Now, let's understand that why actually, again, this topic of criminalization in politics is in news. So firstly, this case is very important whenever the cause or whenever the topic of criminalization in politics occurs. So this case is Rambabu Singh Thakur versus Sunil Arora and others, 2020. So this is a very recent case of February 2020, wherein the Supreme Court was hearing a contempt petition. And in that regard, the Supreme Court directed political parties to state reasons for selecting a candidate with criminal records. So this had actually, this also to say, is not for the very first time that such a judgment or such directions have been given by Supreme Court. But yes, this is one of the most latest one, and also Supreme Court has shown greater concern regarding the criminalization, increasing criminalization in politics. So in this case of Rambabu Singh Thakur versus Sunil Arora, Supreme Court has asked that all the political parties who, if at all, are giving tickets to such political candidates, such election candidates who have any kind of criminal record attached to themselves, so it will be mandatory for that particular political party to mention the reasons as to why it made them choose a candidate with with a criminal background above a candidate who was clean in his background. So they have to give a substantial reason to this. Now, all of us could think that it would be very easy for such political parties to simply say that, yes, this particular person, though he has some criminal charges going on himself, but still the chances or the probability of him winning from that particular constituency was very high, and that is why we gave the ticket to this particular candidate. But this makes this very direction, with this very judgment or this very case, different from the previous ones, wherein the Supreme Court mentioned specifically that winnability cannot be a reason. So this is what that makes this a very good step that was taken by Supreme Court, wherein it specifically mentioned that if the political party is trying to quote the chances of winning from that particular candidate, so that cannot be a substantial and reasonable cause that the party will be allowed to give, and thus anything above or different from winnability will have to be given as the substantial reason. Then this entire thing, this entire judgment, or to say the very execution of this judgment, to say it will be tested properly in the upcoming Bihar election 2020. So we know that Bihar elections are on the verge to approach, and now it will be the duty of all the authorities concerned to check that all these guidelines are being to say implemented properly in the upcoming Bihar elections. So now we need to understand that why did the court pass such an order? So what was the need felt for this? Because we know that criminalization has been prevailing since long time, but why in February, or to say at this point of time, this court order has been received? So it says that there is an increasing percentage of parliamentarians with pending criminal cases against them. So this definitely is a big reason to worry, because politicians are the people who actually are the one who frame the policies for us. They are the ones who actually sit above the bureaucrats as well, and that is why it is them who actually shape the entire democracy of a country. So it is important that such parliamentarians are free from any kind of criminal mind as well as any kind of criminal behavior for that purpose. And that is why an increasing percentage of parliamentarians was seen upon whom or against whom criminal cases were pending. And to see, it was in the current status from 2019, 43% of the member of parliaments had criminal cases running against them. So this is a very significant percentage, almost half to say, of the parliamentarians in India have criminal cases pending against them. So such facts are very good, should be kept in mind, and we also encourage that while all the aspirants are who watch these videos of thorough news analysis from LawSikho, always have a small diary or to say any notebook wherein you can jot down these small crisp facts that can always help you and enhance your answer writing skills, and you can always use them in your mains answer as well as in your essay writing. So such facts wherein it can be very easily quoted that 43% of the MPs are the ones having criminal cases pending against them. So this is important to be remembered. Now, what we need to study next is that why do we need an electoral reform? So here are some points which actually are very crisp, very clean, and are very clear for that purpose. So firstly, need of a government that is free from criminals, which results in, so we need a government that is free from criminals. And finally, what we would have in hand is, which actually, so if we have a government that is infested by criminality, so we have poor quality of governance, definitely. Then we have use of money to manipulate electoral mandates. So that we know about the money politics, the money power, money and muscle power that is very rampantly used in the times of election. So that should be put down. Then electoral bonds, which was a very recent concept which was introduced by the government, wherein the individuals also could give or could simply buy these bonds. Bonds actually are nothing. These are simply some kind of surety, some documents. So these are they actually come from very trustworthy source, and that is why against or in the exchange of such bonds, that particular individual can give some amount of money and can get these electoral bonds in exchange. So the biggest concern here was that the money that was being procured by various political parties from the individuals in the name of electoral bonds, such funds were not at all transparent. So it was not really possible to see that how much money has been given to which political party or who has given how much money to which political party. So actually it was completely an opaque process, and this also has been criticized lately because it encourages secrecy. And definitely secrecy can never be one of the tools that can help good governance. Transparency is something that actually works in the direction of good governance. Then a lack of enforcement of laws and judgments, as in the similar judgment just that we discussed just now. So the any judgment would have its teeth only when it is implemented efficiently. So that is the need of the hour. And then court has dismissed several petitions calling for a ban on candidates with criminal records due to legal and technical constraints. So definitely, because there are a lot of politicians, a lot of political parties who will be actually harmed by this very judgment if it is implemented proficiently. And that is why the court has been very regularly facing, or it has been very regularly dismissing a lot of petitions that actually talked about banning of this judgment or banning of this entire procedure. So that should not be the case. And here, that is why we should understand that what is the importance of criminal-free democracy, criminal-free political system in order to achieve the ideal democratic setup that we are actually seeing for our nation, India. So with this, we end today's detailed analysis about this, and we'll be talking about the news in flash. So here we have Project Sampark, wherein under this project, the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has inaugurated 6 major bridges built by BRDO. It is the Border Road Development Organization, wherein they're close to international border and the line of control in J&K. Now, what will be these 6 bridges do? They will facilitate the movement of armed forces in strategically important sector. So the total cost of this entire project is 43 crores. And these 2 bridges, amongst these 6 bridges, 2 of them are on Tarna Nalla in Kathua district, so it is near Jammu, and the other 4 bridges are on Akhnur Palanwala Road in Akhnur. So these are all situated in J&K. Then, second, Yale School of Public Health to investigate controversial study on sex workers. So actually, why this study has to be done? So the study commended keeping red light areas shut after lockdown in 5 cities to reduce new COVID-19 cases by 72% and deaths by 63%. So as we know that though prostitution is still not legal in India, yet there are recognized red light areas in our country, in various cities for that matter. These some of them are in Delhi, some are very prevalent in Kolkata as well, and some other cities also in this line. So this study from the Yale School of Public Health has said that if we would want to keep a control on the spread of COVID-19 after the lockdown period, so it is important that we shut down these red light areas in 5 cities so that we can reduce the spread as well as the deaths caused by COVID-19. And now, why this is controversial? Because this always has an attached chance that such sex workers are abused, actually, because they are actually abused. Their rights they're not given many of their rights already, and it should be made sure that in any scenario their rights should not be hampered. And then, moving towards the last point for today, India to decide on Australia's inclusion in Malabar exercise. So we actually also discussed about the Malabar exercise in one of our previous analysis. So Malabar exercise, first let's know that what actually is the Malabar exercise. So it is actually a naval exercise between the navies of, it actually began in 1992. So it was it had actually begun between India and US, but then later on it was joined by Japan. So till date, India, US and Japan, every year they used to participate in this Malabar exercise, and they used to do some kinds of drills and mocks and exercises in the ocean, in the Indian Ocean, through their navy. But now it has also just now an announcement was made wherein Australia was also included in this, and this year's exercise has been delayed and it may be conducted by end of 2020. But the latest news has popped out. It says that once India decides to include Australia, the other partner nations, US and Japan, will have to consent. So obviously, definitely, actually it was India who invited Australia to be a part now of the Malabar exercise. But obviously this decision can be formalized only once US and Japan both have given their consent to this. So in 2017, Australia made a request for observer status in exercise, but now India has given it an invitation to be a permanent member for that matter. So a question from prelims point of view specifically can be asked, wherein it can be asked that Malabar exercise is conducted between which country. So options can be given. So we need to remember that for now, permanently, they're India, US and Japan, and Australia may become a part of it once US and Japan give their assent to it. So with this, we end today's thorough newspaper analysis. We hope that it was a good session for you. Once again, giving you a very gentle reminder to do visit the official website of LawSikho, and we really can bet on this that it would be a very good experience for you and you would definitely gain from our courses. Thank you so much. Stay tuned with LawSikho.